Shalom, beloveds of the King. Praise Abba Yahuwah. Here we are again today, having to come together, and we are continuing in our amazing journey through chapters 40s, the 40s of Yeshayahu, that is just so different to what we have read in the previous chapters. And so from the time we've entered into these chapters in the 40s, it is just amazing to be able to read through the verses of these chapters as Father continues to tell us that He is the only one that we need to serve. Apart from Him, we should put our trust and faith into nothing except to put our trust and our faith in Him alone. And how futile it is to be able to even remotely think that we can trust in any other idolatrous thing that is not going to be able to deliver us, that is not going to be able to help us. And you know, the more I've read through these chapters and the more they are being engraved in the very core of my being, it's really encouraged me in such a way to say, wow, what are we doing? Why do we want to turn to the arm of the flesh? And why do we have such little faith in who our Father is, let alone in what He does? And that is why He wants us to come into a place of where we start to really take Him at His word. Because if nothing else, He is the Creator. He is sovereign. He is worthy to be praised. And there is no one else. There is nothing else that would remotely even compare to who He is. Let us pray. Abba Yahuwah, I just want to thank You, my Father. Wow, Father, I just want to thank You for these chapters in Yeshayahu and for this mighty prophet, and how so many thousands of years ago You spoke Your words through the mouth of this mighty man. I thank You, Abba Yahuwah, that these scriptures are still speaking to us today, and they're very relevant for where we find ourselves today. Thank You, Abba Yahuwah, that Your word is a living word, and we can pick up this word, whether it be a day from today or whether it be 10 years from now. It's constantly going to speak to us, because You are constantly speaking to us, and You do not change. And if only we would understand that You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. That which You have done in the past, You will do again. There's nothing new under the sun. And history will repeat itself, because at the end of the day, You are the one that has given us the understanding through Your scriptures, the way You go about doing things. And this is why I truly have understood how important it is right now that we need to be able to study the books of the prophets, to really understand Your heart, to really understand that when you say a thing, you mean a thing. You don't say a thing and mean something else. When you say a thing, it is done, it is finished, it will be as You have said. And man must either accept it or they will not. They either take You at Your word or they don't. They're either going to put their trust and their faith in You or they're not. And that is why the word clearly says that when Yeshua returns, will He find faith on the earth? Because faith is going to be very scarce. Because people will have turned to everything other than You, because of the hardships and because of the difficulties that they will find themselves in. And if we have not learned now to cultivate a relationship with You, to truly love You and trust You irrespective of what we see, we are going to really stumble and fall in the days that will be ahead of us. But Abba Yahuwah, I just want to thank you because our trust and our faith is in the sovereign one, the mighty one, the almighty Al Shaddai, the all-sufficient one, the Yah of Yitzrael, Yasharal, Yasharan. That is who you are. And you are the one that created the Shamayims, the heavens, and the Eretz, the earth. And so I praise and I thank you, Abba Yahuwah, that I can commit this time to you. And I pray, Abba Father, that you will come and speak to our minds and solidify your word in our hearts, that they will be in, that you will put your thumbprint into our hearts to be able to imprint this word in our hearts, so that when the day comes that we do not even have a Bible, but your words will be within our hearts, that will speak forth your word at a time when it's going to be needed. And so I praise and I thank you, Father, that you will teach us your ways. In Yeshua's name, amen. Praise Abba Father. So today we are looking at chapter 46 of Yeshayahu Isaiah, and we read, Baal has bowed down, Nebo is stooping. Their idols were on the beasts and on the cattle. That which is carried is burdensome, a burden to be weary. So what is he talking about? He's talking about the gods of Babylon. The gods of Babylon will bow to Yahuwah. Baal was the god of the Babylonians, also known as Baal. So this Baal is Baal, which is H1078. And when you look at this word Baal or Baal, it is the word for Lord. And so do you understand why we do not want to use Lord? Because isn't it interesting? Nothing has changed. Today we're still declaring Baal. We are still wanting to give worship to Baal if we continue with Lord, 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 Lord. Lord means Baal. That was the word for Lord in the concordance reference of 81078. And that's why the Father says, I want to remove the Baal names from your lips. So if we go look at Hosea, let's go to Hosea. Hosea chapter 2. And when he turns around and he says, verse 16, and it shall be in that day, declares Yahuwah, that you call me my husband, and no longer call me my Baal, my Lord. And this is what we do. We say, oh, my Lord, and my Lord, and my Lord, my Baal. And that is the same word for Adonai. Adonai is from Adon, which is also Lord. And when you say Adonai, when you put the AI at the end, you are saying my Baal. So whether you're calling him Adonai or whether you're calling him Lord, you are saying Baal. You are saying my Baal. And so this god of the Babylonians was Baal. Baal was known as their god of the weather, of war. It was the sun god worship. Wow. Sun god worship. So isn't it interesting that we would want to change the Sabbath of the Father from the day that it was given for us to worship him on the Sabbath, which is on Shabbat, which is on Saturday. And like I said, in my Portuguese language, in the Spanish language, and in these other languages that it's been confirmed, that Saturday is the word for Sabbath, which means Sabbath. But they changed it to Sunday because the Catholic Church changed it to Sunday, and it's Sunday for sun god worship. And they're the ones that want to worship Lord. And it's all pagan gods. And it goes back all the way to the pagan gods that came from the time already of when it was with Egypt, the Egyptian gods that served the gods of the sun, Ra. And so this is a god that was for the weather. Interesting how today this is what they're wanting to do, manipulate our weather. And then they want to talk about war, and it's the god of war, and it is sun god worship. And who is the church at the moment that is the leading church, that is the mother church of Christianity, that has a pope that is basically gathering all the religions to come under one umbrella? And so we must understand that the way that they would worship, when they worshipped this Baal, they worshipped him through prostitution and child sacrifice. Prostitution and child sacrifice. Now we would say today, oh, but we don't have child sacrifice today. We are not taking our children and sacrificing our children today. So what is abortion? All these babies that are being aborted, who do you think they're being aborted to? It's all part of the child sacrifice. And it's being offered to another god that is certainly not Abba Yahuwah, because Abba Yahuwah would not want abortion, would he? And I want you to understand that if at some stage in your life this is something that you didn't know any better, and this is something that you have done, the Father does not condemn you. You have been forgiven, and you have been delivered by the blood of Yeshua. But this would not be something that you would want to continue to do once you would know Abba Yahuwah. And so there's many things that we've needed to repent of, many things that we've needed to ask for forgiveness, because we have done things that we did not know. And so that is why he says, you will no longer call me my Baal, my Baal, my Lord, Adonai or Lord. And then you've got Nebo, and he turns around and he says, Nebo is stooping. Their idols were on the beasts and on the cattle, because you see, these idols need to be carried. They are not something that is going to be able to, if they move from one place to the other, the idols need to be carried. The idols are not going to walk on their own. They don't have legs that they are going to walk. They don't have mouths that they're going to speak. They don't have ears that they're going to hear, but yet we would want to be able to, they would put their trust and their faith in their little figurines. And so today we have various different idols. And so there is Nebo, and Nebo was the god of learning and science. Wow, is that not where we are today? That we have put all our trust and our faith into our knowledge of that which we obtain in our studies, which now they will tell us about evolution. And so we have learned so much, this tree of knowledge that we come and eat from, that sounds good, but yet at the end of the day will be evil. And then is this not the God that we put our trust and our faith in science today, with technology the way that it is, artificial intelligence, AI, and all this science? We put all our trust and our faith in doctors and scientists, all these learned people, and they become like the gods. They will dictate to you how long you have for you to live. And if you believe their words, then it shall be like they have said, because you have put your trust and your faith in them as being your God. And so at the end of the day, how futile it is for us to be able to put our trust and our faith in a person who has been made by the one who is the creator of all things. And yet we will put our trust and our faith in what they say, according to science, according to the knowledge that they've obtained through the learning, becoming these doctors, and we will want to be able to trust them and not seek the Father for the truth and not seek the Father for the healing. And so that's why we will take a lot of this medication, and it heals one thing, but it's got another 5 side effects. And so for the one thing that it's healing, don't worry, it's destroying about another 5 other things in your body. And this is the pharmakia that we bow down to, a serpent seed, a snake, because it comes to beguile and to deceive. And this is what is going on in the world right now. The whole world is under the sway of the evil one. And what is the evil one? He is a serpent. And what is on the pharmakia? What is the very thing that is the sign of pharmakia? It's a serpent. And so we read in Jeremiah chapter 50. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50. And so we read in Jeremiah chapter 50 verses 2, and it says, "Declare among the nations, and let it be heard, and lift up a banner. Let it be heard, and do not conceal it. Say, Babel shall be taken, Bel shall be put to shame. Merodach shall be broken, her images shall be put to shame. Her idols shall be broken." And so there we see that he said he's going to destroy their idols. Now, if you look at Jeremiah chapter 51, from verses 44 to 45, and it says, "And I shall punish Baal in Babel, and I shall make him spew out what he has swallowed, and nations shall no longer stream to him." So you see, the nations shall no longer stream to this gods that they've put their trust and their faith in. And now he's talking about a Baal and a Babylon of those days. But remember, there is a future Babylon that is coming, spoken of in Revelation chapter 18, 17 and 18. And he turns around and he says, "And the nations shall no longer stream to him, even the wall of Babel shall fall." And then here is the critical verse. "Come out of amidst my people, and let everyone deliver his being from the burning displeasure of Yahuwah." So you see, Babylon offers you these gods. This is the systems of the world that offers you security and power in everything other than him. And that is the Babylonian systems of the world. It's religious systems, it's financial systems, it is all these systems that it's the scientific system, it's the learning system, it's the systems of the world that has created within us to become little gods unto ourselves, that we can just put our trust in our faith in what we have acquired in this world, as opposed to turning to the only one who has given us the brain, who has given us the knowledge, who has given us everything that we need. That was to be used for the glory and the honor of his name. But now we want to be able to use it to our own self-destruction, which is what man is doing at the moment. Man has taken everything that they have learned, that they have acquired from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and they're not eating from the tree of life, which is this very Bible that we've got, that we can read from Genesis to Revelation. And so instead of us reading this Bible from Genesis to Revelation, which is what's going to make us strong and courageous, and we are not to allow it to depart from our eyes, instead, we are going to learn all the things that the world has got to offer us to become more powerful in the world. And this is exactly what Hasatan offered Yahushua when he said, "Bow down. If you bow down to me, I will give you all the kingdoms of this world." So what are we bowing down to obtain the kingdoms of this world? But yet at the end of the day, he says, do not put your trust and your faith in anything that this kingdoms of this world has got to give you, because it's going to rust. It's going to be destroyed. Put your riches in the kingdom of heaven, where no moth, nothing can come and steal it. And so we continue to read Isaiah chapter 46. In Isaiah chapter 46, verses 3 and 4, it says, "Listen to me, O house of Yaakov, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, who are born from the belly, who are carried from the womb. Even to your old age I am he, and to grey hairs I carry, I have made, and I bear, and I carry, and I rescue." And so at the end of the day, we must understand whatever we're going to put our trust and our faith in, which is what it says in verse 2, they have stooped, they have bowed down together, they were unable to deliver the burden, but they themselves went into captivity. Understand, nothing of this world system is going to be able to deliver you, because it's all going to be destroyed. Babylon is going to be destroyed, and the merchants of the earth are going to weep as they are going to see Babylon being destroyed, because at the end of the day it is going under, it is going to be destroyed. And that is why the Father is saying to us now, come out of this Babylonian systems before it destroys you. Because if you're going to put all your trust into it, it is not going to give you a return on your investment. The only investment that you need to invest in is to invest in the kingdom of Yahuwah. And that's why he's telling you, listen, O house of Yaakov, all the remnant of the house of Israel. So there is a remnant that's going to come from the house of Israel. This is the prophetic word that he's saying, I am going to gather for myself a remnant. I will have my 12 tribes. I will have a remnant who are born from the belly. You are born from him. You will be born from above. He's the one that will breathe life into you. And he is the one who has carried you from the womb. He knows those that are his. He knows those that are his. I know those that are mine. I knew you from when you were in your mother's womb. And he says, even to your old age. Imagine, from the time that you are in your mother's womb until you are in old age. And I am he, even to grey hairs I carry. So nothing wrong with having grey hairs, because that is the way he wants it to be. He says, even until your old age, I will carry you. I have made, and I bear, and I carry, and I rescue. He will carry us and he will rescue us. He's there for us. He leads us. He guides us. He carries us. What do we have to fear, and who and what are we going to put our faith and our trust in, if not in him? To whom do you liken me and compare me and make me similar, that we should be alike? So at the end of the day, who do we want to be able to compare him to? Who do we want him to compare him to? To whom do we want to compare him? We will make our problems bigger than what he is. And this is what really amazes me. And I speak for myself in absolute humble repentance that this has been me in so many aspects of my life, where when I am facing a huge situation, I make my problem bigger than what he is. Can you imagine? Can you imagine making your situation bigger than the one who actually created all? You know, when we really put him in his right place, when we really put him in the perspective of what we should put him in, then tell me, what is it that we have to fear? Or what is it that we have to be able to be concerned about? Whatever we commit and trust to him, he's faithful and just to keep. But now we would want to take matters into our own hands and do our own thing to try and deliver ourselves, because just maybe he will not do it himself. Or maybe we seem to think he's not capable of doing it. And so we have a look at Psalm 71. Let's go to Psalm 71. And we go look at Psalm 71 from verses 17 to 19. And verses 17 to 19 says, Alua, you have taught me from my youth, and to this day I declare your wonders. And also when I am old and grey, O Alua, do not forsake me until I declare your strength to a generation, your might to all those who are to come. For your righteousness, O Alua, is very high. You have done great deeds, O Alua. Who is like you? And that's why he says, to whom shall we compare him? Who is like him? Who is there that should be like him? No one. There's no one that is alike. There is no one to whom we can compare him. And that is why now again he goes into, from verses 6, he goes on again about the futility of these gods that we put our trust and our faith in. They pour gold out of the bag and weigh silver in the scale. They hire a goldsmith and make it a mighty one. They fall down, they also bow themselves. Now, is that not what we do many times with the silver and the gold that we earn? We bow down to that which we earn. We bow down to that. We strive for that. It becomes the central focus of our life. And therefore it becomes a God in our lives. How many people have their jobs as their God? How many people has got finances as their God? You cannot serve two masters. You will either serve the one and hate the other. You will serve the one, or else you're going to bow down to the other. You cannot serve both, Yahuwah and Mammon. And so he says they bear it on their shoulders and they carry it and set it in its place, and it stands from its place, it does not move. Though one carries it to it, it does not answer, nor save him from his distress. So understand, all it does is it gives us a burden. It makes us have a heavy burden. And we got to carry these heavy burdens upon our shoulders. And we carry the weight of this heavy burden of these gods that we want to be able to serve. It just brings burdens into our lives. And they cannot move. They have to be carried. They do not walk. They are those that we have made out of our own hands. And they cannot save us out of our distress. Because when we are in that place of distress, I mean, even the people that are very wealthy, that might have all the money, when your body gets sick, your money cannot help you. Only Yahuwah is the one who's going to be able to help that person. Not all the finances that you have is going to be able to help you when you are going to get sick. How many very, very, very wealthy people died at the hands of this pandemic because they landed up in hospital. And so that's why I say, at the end of the day, the only one that we can bow our knee to and put our trust and our faith in is in Yahuwah and none other. And you know, I want to read you a scripture in Kings. This scripture really, really ministered to me. And there was a king, and this king, the father rebuked him, because what did he do? Instead of him turning to the father in the time of when he was going through destruction, he went and turned to the doctors, and he turned to his own arm of the flesh. And because of that, the father was not happy with him at all. And so, let me just quickly see if I can find where that scripture is. Now I am looking for the scripture. It was a king, I tell you, this king, he got sick. And then instead of him turning to the Father for the Father to be able to heal him, he went and he turned to the doctors. And because he turned to the doctors, he was then, what happened was the Father was enraged with him. The Father was upset with him because at the end of the day, he did not turn to the Father for his deliverance. He turned to the doctors. And because of that, the Father was upset with him. Oh, it's in, sorry, I'm looking in, that's why I cannot find it, because it's in Chronicles. I'm sitting over here and I'm looking in Kings, but I didn't read it in Kings, I read it in Chronicles. Sorry, let me just go to Chronicles. Because now I want to read you this, because this was so powerful when I read it here. 2 Chronicles chapter 16, verses 9. I'm going to read from verses 9. The eyes of Yahuwah did diligently search throughout the earth to show himself to be strong on behalf of those whose heart is perfect to him. You have acted foolishly in this, so from now on you shall have battles. And Asa, this was King Asa, was wroth with the seer and put him in prison, for he was enraged at him because of this. And Asa oppressed some of the people at that time. And look, the acts of Asa, the first and the last, see, they are written in the books of the sovereigns of Yehudah and Israel. And in the 39th year of the reign of Asa became diseased in his feet, and his disease was severe. Yet even in his disease he did not seek Yahuwah, but the physicians. So do you see? Instead of him turning to the Father and asking the Father, what is the cause? What is the root cause of my disease? He did not seek the Father for the root cause of his disease. He went and turned to the physicians to be able to show him, to help him with his illness. So there's a root to all things, and we need to go deep in prayer to find out from the Father what is the root cause of what is the problem with why we are sick. Many times the sickness has got to do with the mind, the will, and the emotions, and maybe there is an area that we have not repented of that we need to bow our knee and repent. And so I just felt that I needed to share this, because at the end of the day we're talking about idols. And this is why I'm saying, what do we put our trust and our faith in? As these physicians not become idols in our lives, that we will rather turn to them quickly as opposed to turning to the Father. Do we even seek the Father when there is something going on in our bodies, or do we automatically turn to everything else apart from Him? Understand, today that we have got different kinds of idols. We don't have little figurines. And so therefore we've got to bring the scripture into what is relevant for today. Where are we today with our idolatrous ways? How do we go against the Father and His way, and we hurt Him? He's diligently seeking those who are going to be able to, whose hearts are perfect before Him, because they turn to Him in all things, because they trust Him in all things. And so He says in verse 8, in verse 7, we've read verse 7, verse 8. Remember this and show yourselves men. Turn back, you transgressors. So what is the Father saying? Turn back from that place where you've put your trust and your faith into other things of this world, and put your trust and your faith back on the Father. Turn back to the truth of His word, because the truth of His word is what will set you free. Remember the former events of old. Remember the former things, remember the former events of old. For I am Elohim, I am Al, and there is no one else. There is no one else. Elohim, and there is no other Elohim, there's no one else. Elohim, and there is no one like me. There is no one like Elohim. And so we must understand that these idols come when we pursue anything other than Him. Then we pursue Alua. And these idols are the things that give us promises of pleasure and comfort and peace and security and health apart from Yahuwah. So all these things come and they give us all of this. They give us this prosperity and security and pleasure and comfort and all of these things, but they are apart from Yahuwah. Yahuwah is void. He's not in these things. If it's offering you all of that is not from Him, then it comes as an idolatrous thing in our life. And so he says we are to remember the former events of old. We are to remember these former events of old. For I am Alua and there is no one else Alua. There is no one like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from of old that which has not yet been done, saying, my counsel does stand, and my delight I do. My counsel does stand. His counsel does stand, and my delight I do. He will do what he delights, and his counsel will stand, and we are to listen to him. And he's saying, calling a bird of prey from the east, the man who executes my counsel from a distant land. Indeed, I have spoken it. I also bring it to pass. I have planned it, and I also do it. So understand, that which he has said, he will do. That which he has said from the beginning, that he gives us the end from the beginning. Remember what I told you. He tells you your prophetic word for your life in the beginning. It doesn't tell you how you're going to get there. But he will tell you the end from the beginning. He's declaring the end from the beginning. And from of old, that which was not yet been. That which has not yet been done. Saying, my counsel does stand, and all my delight I do. He will do what he says he will do. He will do what it is on his heart. Who are we to command him? Who are we to demand him? Who are we to turn around and say, you will do it like this and you will do it like that, and shove his word in his face? Who are we to do that? Proverbs 19. Let's go to Proverbs 19. Proverbs 19 verses 20 to 23, it says, listen to counsel and accept discipline, so that you are wise in your latter end. You see, so that we can be wise when we get to our older age. You know, that's why the youngsters think that they can tell their parents what to do, isn't it? They don't listen to their parents' counsel. And so we do not want to listen to our Father's counsel because we think we know better. But He already knows the end from the beginning. He already knows what's going to happen in your life ahead. And that is why if He's wanting to close that door, allow Him to close the door. Don't bash the door down and don't pray what you want, because it's to your detriment, just like it was with King Hezekiah. He bashed the door down and prayed for an extra 15 years of his life. And what did it profit him at the end? Nothing. Because it was all a work of his flesh. And so he says, listen to counsel and accept discipline, so that you are wise in your latter end. Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the counsel of Yahuwah that stands. So you see, we might have many plans and we want to pray many things and we want to sit and pray for this and pray for that and pray for everything that it might not even be the Father's will. But we don't even seek His counsel. We don't even seek what's His will. We don't even seek what is His plan. We don't even seek what is His way of doing things. No, we just demand and command and tell Him that He needs to do this like this and do this like this and heal this and heal that and do this and do that. And we never ever seek His counsel to find out if that is His purpose and His plan. Because He's got a purpose and a plan. But we don't even take the time to even find that out. Because our prayer meetings are based on what? on what he must do for us, rubbing a genie in a bottle. What is desirable in a man is his loving commitment, and a poor man is better than a liar. The fear of Yahuwah leads to life, and he remains satisfied. He is not visited by evil. So there you go. The fear of Yahuwah. How many times does this Bible talk about the fear of Yahuwah? That's why it's the fear of Yahuwah that is the beginning of wisdom. So we are to reverence him and put him in his rightful place. The fear of Yahuwah leads to life, and he remains satisfied. So he will be satisfied. He will have everything he needs because he understands whatever he's going through, the Father is in control. And he's not visited by evil. Why? Because he's put his trust and his faith in the Father. And he sees what the Father does, and he trusts in his Father. Verse 12, listen to me, you stubborn-hearted, who are far from righteousness. So you see, if we do not obey him and walk in his ways, if we want our way and demand what we want, then we are a stubborn-hearted people who are far from his righteousness. Let's look at Psalm 119. Psalm 119, 149 to 151. Hear my voice according to your loving commitment. O Yahuwah, revive me according to your right ruling. So let him revive us according to his right ruling. Those who pursue mischief have drawn near. They have been far from your Torah. So you see, there are those that are far from his Torah, far from his righteous right rulings, from his righteous ways, his righteousness being his Torah ways. You are near, O Yahuwah, and all your commands are truth. So you see, all his commands is what we need to pursue, which is what is truth. His commands are the truth, and we are to follow him in spirit and in truth. So how do we have truth? How do we say we follow him in spirit and in truth if we do not obey his precepts, his ordinances, his commands, his righteous right rulings, his righteous ways? His ways of doing things, not our way of doing things. Verse 30, then we read in Zechariah 7. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 7. Zechariah 7 verses 11 to 12, and it says, but they refused to listen, and they shrugged their shoulders and stopped their ears from hearing, and they made their hearts like flint against hearing the Torah. Is that not where the church is in a whole, a lot of them? Is this not where they are today? They follow their own reasoning minds. They follow their own religion. They have built a golden calf religion. That is where we will put God in our box and we will serve him the way we want to serve him. And he's been put in the box of my religious mindset, and therefore I serve him the way I want to serve him. And so unfortunately, the Jewish religion has done exactly the same. They will tell you, you listen to these rabbis and they will speak about the Torah, the Torah, the Torah. It's not the Torah that we understand, the Torah of this Bible. They study hours and hours, their Talmudic writings of their laws, of their customs and their traditions, because that was the Babylonian Talmud that was given to them, which is what they follow. And many times they put the Talmud above the word of Yahuwah. They take that as gospel. It is above what this Bible says. And so they study the Talmudic writings. They study that for hours and hours. And so they have created their own laws and their own customs and their own traditions and put a heavy burden upon the people. Where in Christianity, then they have taken away from this Bible And it's just taken away, taken away, taken away, grace, 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 and we're totally lawless. And we are absolutely a lawless, wayward people that do not keep any ways of the Father. So we are totally lawless. Where the Jews, on the other hand, are absolutely in bondage because they have put so many laws on themselves that it's so difficult to follow their ways because it's so many laws and customs and traditions. And he says, and they made their hearts like flint against hearing the Torah and the words of Yahuwah of hosts had sent by his Spirit. So understand, the words which Yahuwah of hosts had sent by his Spirit through the former prophets, therefore great wrath came from Yahuwah of hosts. And that's why great wrath is going to come upon the nations of the world, because they have turned against his Torah. And that is what we read in Isaiah chapter 24. If we go to Isaiah chapter 24, if we can just be reminded of what the Father said in Isaiah chapter 24, let's just quickly read Isaiah chapter 24, when he turned around and he said, for the earth has been defiled under its inhabitants, because they have transgressed the Torah, changed the law, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore a curse shall consume the earth and those who dwell in it, because dwell in it be punished. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth shall be burnt, and few men shall be left. This is his word. Few shall be left. Let us read verse 13. I shall bring my righteousness near, it is not far off, and my deliverance, it is not delayed. And I shall give deliverance in Zion, my esteem to Israel. And so what is the Father saying? He shall establish his righteousness and bring his deliverance, Yahushua. So he shall establish his Torah. He shall establish his Torah. He shall establish his Torah now in these last days. He's going to make sure that his Torah is going to be established. And he shall bring his deliverance. He shall bring, Yahushua is our deliverance, who became the Torah in the flesh. And he shall deliver his people. If we are those that follow Yahushua, who is the living Torah, then he is our righteousness, because he is the living Torah, and we follow everything that he has done, and therefore we will be those that will be able to bring esteem to Yahuwah, my esteem to Israel. He says, I shall give deliverance in Zion. He is then going to give us deliverance, because he gave us Yahushua, and this is for the glory of Israel. My esteem to Israel. He will give his glory to Israel. So he shall bring his righteousness. He shall bring his Torah near. It is not far off. And my deliverance, my Yahushua, it is not delayed. So this is what he is prophesying into the near future. I shall give deliverance in Zion. He's going to bring Yahushua, who's going to bring deliverance to Zion. And so therefore, like I said, Yahushua became the living Torah and became flesh, who dwelt among us. And he's the one that will deliver his people if they follow him, who is the living Torah, that is righteousness. And that's the righteousness that he has given us. If we follow the living Torah, who needs to dwell within us and work it in us, both to will and to do the good pleasure of Abba Yahuwah, to bring us back. Remember this and show yourselves men. Turn back your transgressions. So we need to repent and turn back to the Father. May Abba bless you all, and we praise Abba Yahuwah for this mighty, powerful word. And so may you all enjoy your day. Shalom, shalom.